Hi, and welcome to another episode of The Break Room. I'm your host, Lucinda Underwood. Today's episode is about service management systems, and joining me to share her advice is Amber Wright of AutoLeap. Amber, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me in The Break Room today. It's great to see you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm super excited about the conversation.
Me too. We've got a lot to cover today. Before we dive into the conversation, though, obviously we're talking about service management systems today, but before we dive into that, could you start by just telling me just a bit more about you and your role at AutoLeap and what AutoLeap does as well, please?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So my name is Amber Wright. I am the Director of Strategic Partnerships here at AutoLeap. Really what my role is I play an essential role in developing and helping executing partnership strategies. So things that align with our company's vision for enhancing the auto repair industry through our point of sale software. So really things like identifying and establishing meaningful relationships. So those could be with shop coaches in the industry, really understanding, how they contribute to the market and how we can contribute through growth and product enhancements. And ultimately, at the end of the day, customer satisfaction.
Yeah, that's the big thing that we're always striving for, right? Is that customer experience. So you said so AutoLeap has a point of sale software, so that's kind of the company's product.
Yeah. Yeah. So just a little bit about the company. I've actually been here from the start of the inception of AutoLeap. So it's been really wonderful and meaningful to see not only the growth of the company, and I'll get into what we do, but like our customers and how they're growing. And so AutoLeap from the start has really focused on creating an all-in-one shop management software. And there's a lot of buzz about this, all-in-one, number one management system. But what we are focused on and what we really do position ourselves in the product as is, so we do everything from creating invoices, estimates, through the parts ordering, all the way through the customer journey, right, of what a customer goes through in the shop. And so helping service advisors create tickets, estimates more seamlessly and effortlessly, right? In our industry, seconds matter. Seconds equal money. And so how do we create a product that really takes that into consideration of saving these guys time? A lot of owners are technicians turned owners, and so helping them understand how to run a business by the technology running for them, right? A lot of these owners or even people working in the shop have come from pen and paper or really antiquated systems that they've had to do a lot of work to make the system work for them. And so we've really focused on that, and we've really focused on removing fragmentation of software, right? What happens when you have multiple meeting points from technology? So if your system has multiple integrations with different products, there is a failure point that can happen, right? I always say that there's always room for human error, but there is, by having that model, room for technology error, right? Through data migration, there's things that can happen through the system. And so AutoLeap's basis, again, going back to our vision, has been creating a true all-in-one one-stop shop for these general repair shops and tire shops. So it's been really wonderful to see. Now we have strategic partnerships that we'll talk about and how we integrate specifically with other vendors. But yeah, it's been really, really awesome to be a part of.
That does, and to be a part of something from the beginning too. I can imagine, you've seen an incredible journey. That's awesome. And to your point of having that one system, that's really hard to find, right? I mean, in our industry, in the automotive industry, typically any given place is running off several systems, and errors happen, and then they happen fairly commonly. So that's a huge, huge advantage.
And you as a shop owner may not really know that those errors are happening, but who does know and who feels that is the end consumer, who is now expecting this exceptional experience, right? Because because the buyer is now, millennials or Gen Zs, they grew up with technology and they expect a level of excellence and experience when they're communicating with their shops, right? If you want to be the dealer of choice, that is the things that your buyers, your customers are going to be expecting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, actually, it's funny. I've had this conversation in some other episodes as well about, we have to be very aware of that younger generation, because we want to make sure that they can communicate with us in the way they want to as well, right? I mean, I'm even of the era that if I can talk to somebody online or I can do things online and don't have to pick up the phone, I'm going to do it. That's what I want to do, right? So
Completely agree. I am
yeah.
also of the era that if you leave me a voicemail, I will not listen to it. Like, text me, right?
Yeah.
There's different ways of communication. I have colleagues that will send voice notes, right? And you have to listen to the voice notes. I don't prefer that, but that is a way of communicating. You just have to understand your consumer. And like you said, give the option of how they want to be communicated with.
And I
it's
think
really important.
That's the thing. It's having the options, isn't it? Because people are different as well, right? So, okay, well, I've obviously got some questions prepared for you, talking about service management systems. And I want to start really, I'm thinking of the shop owner that's potentially listening right now that's going, yeah, we need to advance our technology a bit. We need to bring in a system. We need to do that. So what would you advise? What factors should they be considering? So when they are looking at different options, what factors should they consider? And then how would you go about, really evaluating and comparing those options?
Yeah, this is such a loaded question, but such a good question. So I appreciate that, Lucinda. It's one of the things that I have a lot of conversations with. And so let's just imagine your shop runs smoothly, right? Your customers are delighted and your profits are soaring, right?
Sounds
those
good.
are the right?
Yeah.
It sounds too good to be true. And so those are the things that owners come to us in conversation about. And these are the things that they're looking to enhance and experiences to create. And so a few key areas that we know our users are evaluating when they, before they switch to us. One is functionality. So does the system offer features you need, such as, appointment scheduling? Now within AutoLeap, specifically, and there's other options out there, the Google Book Online. And so it's important to think about things like that. Where are the customers coming in, right? Google Book Online helps with the SEO, right? Your online presence. Marketing automations, Google reviews management, and performance reporting. So again, going back to that all-in-one functionality to really reduce resilience on multiple systems. And so it's really what we spend a lot of time is, what are you looking for? What are the current challenges you are facing with whatever system you're using today or your processes? And let us kind of understand. So functionality was a big one. Ease of use. So you also are in this spot where you have new generation coming in, like we talked about previously, who are really agile with technology, and they can learn it really quick, right?
Yeah.
But you still have the older generation who are not as quick, right? And so being able to create a system or have a system that's intuitive and really easy to learn for your team, something that's really important to look at. Another thing that our users look for is scalability. So as your shop is growing, can a system accommodate your expanding needs? So how does that do that? Can you scale easily? Can the system take your shop to a multi-location, right? It may not be something that you're thinking of today, but it should be something when you're evaluating systems. Can you do that, right? We all have goals, and one of the things that I hear a lot is potentially scaling or efficiency of operations or increasing revenue, or multi-location and or selling, right? I want to sell. So those are the things that you should be thinking about for your system to be able to handle for the future of your business. Integrations. And so we talked about this, right? It really depends on the structure of your business and what you're looking for. So How does your system integrate seamlessly with other tools, like
Mhm.
accounting software specifically? So are you using NetSuite? Are you using Epicor? Not Epicor, but are you using QuickBooks Online, desktop, those things? How are you ordering parts? Does your system integrate easily with your vendors that you're using? Because those are areas where it should save you time and not actually take you more time. I cannot tell you how many shops I've been into, both tire dealers and just general auto repair shops. And they still have, not our customers, of course, when they come on, 10 different screens open of their vendors and they're ordering parts,
Yeah,
calling, right?
yeah. I've
Think
seen
about the
it.
time that you're losing from that, and how easy it can be with a system that is integrated. So just have to really understand where you're going, cost. What's the initial cost? Are there ongoing maintenance fees and support fees? And then, really, a technology company should benefit you with return, right? You
Right.
should know what your return of investment is going to be in beginning calls as you're looking at different software. And so, can they tell you what that return on investment is going to
Mm,
be? And at the end of the day, I'm gonna go to support, but is the company that you're looking at just a vendor, or are they going to be a partner in your business? Um,
right.
it's really important to create that connection. And so, not only is it important to have responsive support, um, custom training, is the vendor going to just give you a PowerPoint, connect you to a sandbox, and just run with it, right? How meaningful is that? And are you actually adopting the majority of the software? Something to think about. And then, what does the ongoing technical assistance look like? And so I would say the technology is really important, but just as important is the support that you're going to get from that company that you're evaluating. And you should really spend time understanding what that looks like.
Yeah, and I think that's such a good point. And I think dependent on their person and their knowledge and their understanding of technology, this can be a really overwhelming process, right? Because there's a lot of systems out there. There's a lot of options. You spoke a bit about the importance of integration, right? The importance that whatever management system you bring on board is going to integrate with your other tools. How do you go about ensuring that that is going to happen? Because I've heard some horror stories, we invested in this system and it was supposed to integrate and it doesn't, or it doesn't work fully, or whatever. So what advice would you give there of really kind of doing your homework, I guess?
Yeah, your due diligence.
Mm,
So I will say how we handle integrations, and I'll kind of say how you should approach the situation. And
okay.
so AutoLeap looks at integrations and just partnerships in general. Like, we call partners, whether that be, like I said, the coaching companies or our integrated partners. We take a very comprehensive approach into being an all in one solution. And when we look at being an all in one solution, yes, we are integrated with like NextPart, Parts Tech, other providers that help you integrate, order your parts. We look to be a strategic partner with those people. So, is
Mm,
the person that you're evaluating doing the same? Because, again, going back to my point about these connection points, at Autoleap, we never want to throw a partner under the bus if the connection is not working.
mm-hmm.
We are the point person for the support and of our customer. And so, when we go into business with anyone, it is Autoleap that first communicates with the customer, and it is our responsibility to ensure that the experience that we're creating for our customers is top notch and it is white glove, right? And so, when I say that we evaluate different partners very strategically, I mean that I personally have calls months leading up to any integration and process of understanding what a partnership could look like and how we manage through these things. And so, um, Autoleap will integrate with strategic partners. Now, it has to be, in a sense, meaningful, right? Does the majority of our customer base need this thing? Does it fit a value that the majority of our customers are going to need that we are not going to build? And so that's one way. But when you're evaluating these connections, right, I would implore you to ask, what does the connection look like? There's different connection points. There's pop-outs, right? An experience that's basically taking you to this other integrated partner's page.
Okay.
Are they going to keep up with it, right? There's a lot of technical nuances that you really need to understand and what integration actually means. And so how frequently are they updating their program so your program will be updated, right? Are you punching out to their catalog? Are you, what does it look like between communication, right? So if, let's just talk CRM for a second
Okay.
and use it as an example. If you're using an external CRM that is integrated into your management system, your point of sale, what does that communication look like? Is it on a 24-hour pool, right? So does your external integration get the pool every 24 hours in that data? So there's a lag in communication and data. So I've even experienced this myself with an external, not an AutoLeap vendor. I take my shop to get repaired somewhere. I spent $7,000 on getting my transmission repaired and everything. And that's like a heavy
It's a
bill
lot.
to pay.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money, right?
I was just thinking, ouch.
Yeah, it's one of those decisions that we had to make, right? Like, do I buy a new car or do I invest in this car? Because it may turn into my child, like it's an older car, right? It's my husband's work car, it's still a good car. So that's something that we chose to invest in. But then I get a communication from the external company that's doing their CRM, hey, your maintenance is due, and then the transmission was on there. And so there was a lack of knowing your customer, right?
Yeah.
And knowing the experience that might create. So to wrap that up, it's really just making sure that your platform that you are choosing is built to deliver a seamless and cohesive experience without needing a ton of integrations. But if it does, ensuring that it really benefits you and is robust and efficient.
Do you know, there's a few things that you said in there that I
I said
really
a lot,
like.
sorry.
But it's great. No, you've made some really, really good points because, I'm thinking back as you're talking, I'm thinking about, various experiences I've had over the years, working in this industry. But the fact that, having a vendor that actually understands the importance of the end consumer's experience, number one, that is huge. And what you said about, how you partner with these other vendors and you actually have a plan for, okay, if something goes wrong, this is whose responsibility it is. Because I can't tell you how many times I have had maybe issues with systems over the years and you call one provider and they say, no, everything's good on our end. Call the other provider. And then you're just bouncing between, and it's frustrating as hell, right? And like you say that, and then that takes a lot of time. So, just having that mentality, and I think that's such solid advice for shop owners as well, is to really consider that and ask those questions because it's very important.
And think about too, like, so we talked about scalability, like can those things walk with you in the scalability?
Right.
And what does the support look like? Like you at no point should be in between a business decision of another company and be in the middle of them pointing fingers back and forth. Like that is not a good business model. And now that business model does work and there's a lot out there. So I don't want to say that that's terrible because it does work. But it's also something that you need to consider from a financial piece and what you're investing in, because most of the time when you can combine these solutions, you are saving costs, right? And so you just have to look at it from a investment standpoint, like what is the gain of moving this way?
Yeah. And such a good point, like you made earlier about scalability and just, anyone at the beginning of this process needs to have a really clear vision of what are our current issues? What do we potentially want our future to look like to make sure that it's going to apply? And, are we speaking with vendors that understand our issues and where we want to go, right? And that goes back to that partnership piece.
If you do take a demo of AutoLeap, you will notice that in the demo, we ask you a lot of questions before we actually get into the demo. And so it goes back to being a partner, not just a vendor. And so it can be really annoying to some owners because they're like, can we just get to the product? But again, do you want somebody that wants to understand your business and where we can help you? So there is a rhyme to what we do. And so that's something that you should really think about, right? We're
Mm,
all really busy. We all have the next thing, right? I have a meeting 30 minutes after, right? Like I have
yeah.
to keep going, but be in the present moment. And there's a reason why you are looking at software and really understand what your goals are that you're trying to achieve for your business. And so, and hopefully that the partner that you are choosing will actually take time to understand what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, and at the end of the day, whatever way you go, it's a significant financial investment, and one that, again, I've worked in dealerships where we've brought on a system, it hasn't worked out, and then you're in a whole mess. Then you're trying to bring on another system, and it's so it really taking that time to really make sure that this is the right solution for you is I don't think we can underestimate that importance, to be honest. Yeah, it's huge.
I compare it to having a root canal. I mean, it is
Yeah.
as painful as having a root canal. Not only is like going to the dentist terrible,
Yeah.
but it is. I mean, like there is a lot of aftermath that comes with getting a root canal and how you take care of it and what does the
Hmm.
process look like. And it's just painful. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to change their management system until they do it because there's benefits, right? You get
Yeah.
a root canal for health benefits. So
Yeah.
something is there's a failure point in your business and you need the technology to help you move forward.
Right. Right. And it's like anything, if you're going to do it properly. I want to speak a little bit more about support. I know you've spoken a bit about kind of how important it is to really have those conversations around support. But what should shop owners really expect in terms of support? What specific questions should they be asking to make sure that, that the vendor is going to be there when they need it?
Yeah, I think overall, a supportive vendor and in general needs to make sure that you feel comfortable that there is going to be a smooth transition. So, understanding what that transition looks like, how are they able to minimize your downtime, right? Maximize your investment. So, those are things that you should be talking about. But really, you should expect things like a dedicated account manager, right? And so this person should be your customer success manager for seamless onboarding. So for us in general, when you onboard, you have an implementation consultant, and that person is responsible for helping you bring over your data, putting it into a sandbox, making sure that the data that you have in your current system is syncing with our system. And we spend a lot of time going through training and what this looks like. It's roughly about 9 hours just accumulatively between the front of the house and technicians. And so, what does that look like? What does responsive support look like? So, are they available to answer your questions and address issues promptly? So, do you have a means outside of your dedicated account manager, their contact details? Do you have a means to reach out to support, and what does that
Mm.
response time look like, right? Um, for us, it is under a minute within the system during business hours. We do have business support hours in the system on Saturday. So there's shops that are open on Saturday. So making sure that during your business hours, what does that support look like? So you should be looking at that. And then I kind of mentioned it, but um, do they have custom training and onboarding? So do you know what that process is going to look like? And what does the training for my technicians and service advisors look like? That's really important.
Mm.
And then just like what is the knowledge base? So do they have a help center? Articles? Are they continuing to help you drive thought leadership or business development, right? How do you get access to those things? It's really important, again, because you should be looking for a partner and not just a vendor.
Right.
And so just kind of ensuring that the person that the company that you are choosing has all of that in mind for you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you make a great point there about training as well. Again, I'm just thinking back to my experiences over the years and kind of thinking how they're varied in those kind of ways. And, that training is so important because, again, as tech continuously evolves, these systems have so many features that you would hate to be in a position where you find out, oh, this has this feature that we never knew about and we could have been using this whole time, right? So that training and also the support for ongoing training as well is very, very important. So you make some great points there. I can't believe I was saying this because I'm like right into this conversation, but I mean, we've been talking for a while now. We are getting towards wrapping up time, but I always want to just kind of throw out at the end, is there anything that we haven't covered or any sort of final thoughts on this topic that you want to share with the audience?
No, I again thank you so much for this time and for having me. It's an honor. I think really we find ourselves, the industry in general, the aftermarket auto repair industry, in a really progressive and from a technology standpoint time, and it can be very overwhelming, right? There's a lot of noise of this technology does X, Y, and Z, and it's going to help me do this. Every business is different, and every business manages their employees differently. And not every vendor is created equal. And so I always state to any owner that I'm speaking of to really spend time doing your due diligence. And just as you wouldn't just hire, somebody off the street, you also shouldn't just sign up for a vendor. And so really making sure that you are doing what's best for your company is first and foremost. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we recognize that and we want to, be along the journey with anybody who chooses us. So we definitely appreciate the time and you allowing us to come, me, to talk about AutoLeap.
Yeah, no, of course. And it's funny, you've given me a lot to think about. I'm actually in the process of looking into some tech solutions for my own company, and some of the questions that you've raised, really helpful. And so I'm sure there's going to be some listeners out there that are going to be kind of listening to this and going, yeah, I didn't consider that part enough. I need to do my due diligence there. So Amber, thank you so much. I really appreciate taking the time. Great conversation as always.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching this episode of The Break Room, driven by Shop Pros. To learn more about what Shop Pros can do for your business, check out shoppros.com. If you like this episode, please leave us a comment or a review, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. The Break Room, where great automotive minds meet.